Hi friends, today let's solve 2018 ESET branch questions. So let's get back to the first question. This question is asking what is the value of 1 electron volt energy. So this is a constant which is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So joules, we also have to remember the unit of joules. So next, let's go to the next question. So in this question, in a semiconductor diode, the barrier potential offers. So we have to know how the barrier looks like. So this is a PN junction diode, and this is called the depletion region or space charge region in which the barrier potential is generated. So if you observe this region, it is made up of immobile charge carriers. However, the majority charges from P side and the majority carriers from N side, that is holes and electrons, combine here, and here you will be having ion region. So if you see the options here, so it is nothing but check all the four options, but only the option 2 has majority charge carriers. Now let's get back to the next question. So this is Hall effect. So student will be having question what is Hall effect is. So basically, if you place a current carrying semiconductor in a transverse magnetic field, you will be having a voltage which is induced in a direction perpendicular to both electric field current and magnetic field. So simply it is a three-dimensional axis in which you will be having a semiconductor and this particular portion. So the main purpose of Hall effect is to find out whether a semiconductor is N-type semiconductor or P-type, or also you can find the concentration of charge carriers. So see this here, Hall effect is basically used to find mainly this, because you are applying all this and you get one particular field, so it is mainly used in carrier concentration. Next we'll go to the next question. So this is related to rectifier. So what is the value of regulation in an ideal rectifier? So we have to remember what is regulation itself. So regulation is basically the difference between no load output voltage and output voltage, and it is generally is a percentage of V no load. So ideally the average rectifier output must remain constant or it must be low. So generally as the load varies it will be varying, but however you have to remember it has to be low, which means ideal value is 0. So next, so the source terminal, this is related to FET. So the source terminal of FET is analogous to which particular terminal of a BJT? So the student has to remember the diagrams, the circuit symbols of BJT and FET. Just keep it side by side. So see this arrow part. So this is with the source, and here it is with the emitter. So in this case, the answer is emitter. So the next question. So what is the doping of base in BJT? So I can show you a simple symbolic representation of a NPN BJT. So see it here, you can see the base is very thin. The darkness represents the doping level. So this is thin in size and the doping is low when compared to the collector or emitter. So here your option is third option. Next, so this is related with the comparison of BJT and JFET. So the student has to remember a particular table so that he can do it as a part of a revision. So basically BJT is current control, whereas FET is voltage control. This is the one major point. And then BJT will be having smaller input impedance, whereas FET have higher input impedance. Also, the BJT offers great gain, whereas the gain is smaller in FET. And if you see this particular point, we can finalize the answer. So here, apart from this, the voltage gain is less in JFET, whereas the bandwidth, input resistance and voltage supply all are high in case of a JFET. Next, this is related to class B amplifier. So in a class B amplifier, the student has to remember the efficiency is simply 78.5%. So this is higher compared to class A amplifier, or simply you can remember it as pi by 4. So it is mainly used in battery operated devices and transistor radios. Now what is the circuit diagram of emitter follower? The student also again has to remember this simply. This is common collector configuration, which is also called circuit follower. So here the value of RC is 0. This is a very important point which a student has to remember. So a emitter follower is nothing but a common collector configuration. So next, what is the name of voltage shunt feedback? So these 4 configurations student has to keep in mind. So this is voltage series, voltage shunt, current series and current shunt. So if you see here, in this case input is IN, whereas output is V0 by IN. So this seems like V by I is nothing but resistance. So we can simply call it as trans resistant amplifier. So this will be converting your input current to output voltage. So this is a very important table which we will deal in the next topics. So this is called trans resistance because you have V by I. Next, what is the other name of negative feedback? So negative feedback, another name is degenerative feedback, because feedback signal is out of phase with the input signal. If both are in same phase, it will be increasing, but negative feedback will reduce some part of input, therefore it is called degenerative feedback. The portion of the output of an amplifier is inverted. Here you have to remember, I'm saying inverted. So the next question, the output voltage of a CE amplifier is, this is a very important question which is asked in Indian engineering services. So I'll show you how exactly it looks. So this is the input waveform in case of a CE amplifier. This is how the output looks. So you can simply see there is a 180 degrees phase shift from input to output. So next, you have to know what exactly is crossover distortion. How does it look? So this is how crossover distortion looks. So in class B amplifier specifically, because both the amplifiers are biased to its cutoff point, So both are switched off and on at the same time. Therefore, at the particular access points of x-axis, you have a value which is 0, and that is why you will be getting a distortion which is called crossover distortion. So the next important question is Barkhu's criterion. This is always very simple. A beta is 1. So it is also called loop gain, and only when the loop gain is unity you will be having oscillations. So you have to remember with feedback a by 1 plus or minus a beta. So this denominator, if it is equal to 0, you will be having this condition. So next, so which of the following will be circuit will be working as an oscillator? The student has to remember what exactly is an oscillator. So if you imagine the output waveforms of this, you will understand it. So in case of a monostable multi-vibrator, based on the trigger you will be having only one state. In case of a bistable multi-vibrator, you will be having two states. But a stable, the states will be varying from one state to another state, and this is how your square wave will be looking. So if you see the question, among all, a stable multi-vibrator is one configuration in which you will be getting an oscillating signal. Oscillation is when you have two particular points which you have to remember. Next, what is the ratio of resonant frequency to bandwidth? So this is a relationship between quality factor Q and bandwidth. So if you see the question, so selectivity is the ratio of resonant frequency to bandwidth. So see it. So the frequency of response of a circuit, current magnitude relates to sharpness. So this sharpness of a peak is termed quality factor, and the quality factor, it relates to the maximum or peak energy stored in the circuit. So student has to remember this particular formula to solve problems. So the next question is, so any two-terminal network consists of one or more generators, can be represented with an EMF source and with an impedance. So simply imagine this. So you can simply know the answer. It is nothing but Thevenin's theorem. So this is how it looks. A linear network will be simply taken as a voltage source in series with the resistance, and then you will be having the load in both of it. So next, so superposition theorem, if this is a basic theory question, and if you read the definition of superposition theorem, it is only applied to linear circuits and never to nonlinear circuits. Only is the catchword here, that is why it is linear. So majority of times it is only for linear elements. So for maximum power transfer theorem, the internal resistance of the source should be always equal to the load resistance. R L is equal to RTH if you use your Thevenin's, or ZL is equal to Z Thevenin star if it is related to impedances. So the maximum power will be 50%, and that too when your load resistance is equal to your source resistance or Thevenin resistance. So the next question, so how does high pass RC circuit will be acting? So this is a circuit of a high pass RC circuit. So if you just check the outputs for each time constant. So when the time constant is long, you will be having output like this. So if it is medium, you will be having output like this, and if it is short, the output will be looking like this. Now read the question. So high pass circuit, this will be acting as a differentiator when RC is small. So this is a differentiation because at these particular instant of time, you are supposed to do the derivative, and you have to remember impulse happens only if when you do derivative for this. So this is the only condition when which you will be having differentiation of the input signal.